My name is Mr. Ishengoma. Today we are going to look at how to sketch a quadratic graph. When we are sketching a quadratic graph, we need to be aware of three important items. Number one, we need to know about the X-intercept, and this is the position where the graph cuts the x-axis. And also we need to find the Y-intercept, the position where the graph cuts the y-axis. And most importantly, we need to know the turning point. And in other words, this is either the maximum or the minimum turning point, depending on how the quadratic graph looks like. Remember, if the quadratic graph is facing down, like this will be our maximum point. But if our quadratic graph is curved like that, this will be our minimum turning point. So in order to be able to sketch this kind of graph, we need to know the x-intercepts. And when you're talking about the x-intercept, we're talking about the x-axis. So we need to know the value which will be there, the value which should be here, and then we need to know the y-intercept, that the value is here. So in other words, this is what we call y-intercept. And this is what we call x-intercept. After finding the x-intercept and the y-intercept, then we need to find the turning point. This is what we call the turning point there. Turning point. So these are the most important things: the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the turning point. So when we know those three items, that is x-intercept, y-intercept, and the turning point, we will be in good position to sketch the graph. So let's see how we can sketch the following graph. Graph number one, we have our quadratic equation. So we can start by finding our y-intercept. Remember, for y-intercept, always the value of x is 0. For y-intercept, the value of x is always 0. So go to equation. Whenever you have x, you keep 0. So when you keep 0 here, you get 0. If you keep 0, it's 0. And finally, the value of x will be minus 8. After getting the value of y-intercept, then let's find the value of x-intercept. Remember, for x-intercept, always the value of y is 0. So you go back to your equation. On the place of y, you keep 0. So when you keep 0, we shall get a quadratic equation like that. Hence, we need to solve this quadratic equation and then find the values of x. Normally, because this is a quadratic equation, it can lead us to having two answers of x. You can choose any formula, but we always advise to use the general formula, that is minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac, everything over 2a. This formula, most of the times, it gives us all the answers, no matter decimal. So it makes the work a little bit easier than other formulas. Yes, you substitute the value of b is 2 plus or minus square root of 2 squared minus 4. The value of a is 1 and the value of c is minus 8. Over 2, the value of a is 1. Yeah, that is using general formula. Minus 2 plus or minus, when you solve inside, 2 squared is 4, and this is 32, you get 36 over 2. This will lead us to minus 2 plus or minus square root of 36 is 6 over 2. And finally, we shall get two values of x. Our x1 will be 4 divided by 2, will be 2. And then our x2 will be minus 2 minus 6, that gives us minus 8. So our x2 will be minus 4. So till here, we have found our x-intercept and our y-intercept. For y-intercept, we have one value there, but for x-intercept, we have this value and that value. So next, let's find the turning point. Turning point. For turning point, we shall use completing the square. Completing the square. Normally, we summarize the formula as x plus b over 2 squared minus b over 2 squared plus c. That's how we complete the square. So this formula always works when the coefficient of x squared is 1. That's when this formula can work. Right, so we substitute. The value of b is 2, so I keep b 2. I will get x2 divided by 2 will be 1 square, minus 2 divided by 2, 1 square will be 1, so I keep 1. C is minus 8, so I keep minus 8, and then my completing square will be minus 9. Okay, so to get the turning point, the minus 9 will always represent the y reading, and then the x reading will be minus 1 because we need a value of x that makes the bracket 0. So if I have 1 here, I need a minus 1, the total will be 0. And in other simple language, we always say the value which is here just changes sign, becomes the x reading. So if I have positive 1, then here I will write negative 1. So till now, I have found all the three parts: the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the turning point. So let me draw my x-axis and y-axis sketch. Then we plug in those values, which we have just found. So this is my x-axis and y-axis. This is x, this is y. So I need now to plug in. My y-axis intercept is negative 8. So I go somewhere down here and I call it negative 8. Then when I come back, my x-intercept, there are 2. I have negative 4, so I keep there negative 4, and I have positive 2. I can keep here positive 2. So now I have put my x-intercept and my y-intercept. Next, the turning point, negative 1 and negative 9. So negative 1 silent somewhere here. Negative 9 is somewhere here. So they meet somewhere here to form our turning point. That is negative 1 and negative 9. So finally, I get my nice curve passing through the intercept to the turning point and back to the other intercept. So this is how we draw a sketch of quadratic graph. Let's see the second example here. Right, I have my graph, that is equation y is equal to 5 plus 4x minus x squared. I will start again by finding y-intercept. And remember, for y-intercept, the value of x is always 0. So if I keep 0 here, this will go away. If I keep 0 here, this will go away. Then finally, my y is 5. So for my y-intercept, the value is 5. Then I go to x-intercept. Remember, for x-intercept, the value of y is 0. So when I substitute here 0, that's 0 is equal to 5 plus 4x minus x squared. The arrangement is not clear. It's not like how best we arrange a quadratic. So we can rearrange it. I have minus x squared plus 4x, and then plus 5. Okay, so I can now solve this. I can use again any formula as we agreed, but generally the best formula to use is the this formula here. That's called general quadratic formula. So when I solve this, I'll get my first value of x as -1. And then I get my second value of x as 5. So now I have got my x-intercept and I've got my y-intercept. So the last thing I need is my turning point. So I need to find turning point here. Turning point. Remember, turning point, we complete the square. But when you look at our equation now, the coefficient of x squared is not 1, it's -1. So because the coefficient is -1, I cannot use the other formula which we created in the first equation. But because I still need to use the formula, then I have to divide the -1 everywhere, then keep that -1 out. Inside, I have the positive values for this, and then this one now will become -4x, and this will become -5. Now, whatever is inside the bracket, I can apply the formula when -1 is outside. So in this case, I will have x minus 4 over 2 will be 2, bracket square. The same, 2 will be 4, and then 5. So furthermore, -1 is out. So I have x minus 2, bracket square, minus 9. I need to open the bracket. So because I need to open the bracket, 1 times here, I'll get -1, x minus 2 square, then -1 times 9, minus and minus will become +9. Okay, so finally, my turning point will be +9 here, and as we said, if this is -2, the point will be +2. So now I have the turning point as there, 2, 9. Okay, now I have all the three. I have the x-intercept, y-intercept, and the turning point. So I need to sketch my graph. I draw my y-axis and my x-axis. As you can see there. There we go. That's y, this is x. First, I will plot my y-intercept, that is 5. Y-intercept is 5 there. So I'll sketch anywhere I need. Here, I call it 5. Second, I go to the x-intercept, -1. I write here -1, and then +5. Then finally, my turning point. What's my turning point? 2, 9. 2 is somewhere there, sketch, but 9 is above 5 somewhere here. So I can say my turning point is somewhere here. That is 2, 9. Then I get my curve smooth, going to the turning point, and then coming back down. And that will be my sketch. If you compare the second question and the first question graph, the first question curve is going up, the second question curve is going down. This was because of the coefficient of x squared. For this question here, the x squared was positive, but for this second question, the x squared was negative. So whenever the coefficient of x squared is negative, the graph will curve downwards. And whenever the coefficient of x squared is positive, the curve will turn upward. So we have looked at two questions of how to draw a sketch of a graph. And that is how we always draw a sketch of the graph by first finding X-intercept, Y-intercept, and then turning point. Thank you for watching. And if you have enjoyed the video, subscribe to my channel. I will be giving you more videos of mathematics. My name is Mr. Ishengoma.